Hey there, it's Carly with the Expat Focus podcast. Whether you're doing it solo or as a family, a lot of energy goes into planning an international move and getting settled in a new location, and it can take a toll, both physically and mentally. So, what can you do to help keep your overall health in check? I'm chatting to an expert from one of our health partners, Cigna, in this episode to get some insight into recent trends and recommendations on how to make good health a priority no matter where you are in the world. We are talking 4 ways to take care of your health and well-being when you're living abroad. And joining me on the podcast to discuss this topic today is Michael Hagenay, Product Manager, Global Individual Health at Cigna. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. And I understand, Michael, that you are an expat yourself. So this will be a really interesting topic because, well, both of us have firsthand experiences when it comes to taking care of yourself in a foreign country.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I've been abroad for quite a number of years now, so I don't really feel I'm always part of the landscape now in the UK. But still, yes, I like to relate to expats, and that's why I was so keen when I joined Cigna to look after our global individual and the one living abroad as expats, as I could feel like, yeah, it was close to my heart and I can relate to the experience.
Yeah, completely. We're going to talk through the 4 points that you think are really important in terms of health and well-being when you are living in a foreign country. And the first one on your list is to be prepared, preparation. And I mean, it's so key in everything you do, but why is it especially important when it comes to your personal wellness?
Yeah, I feel it's maybe obvious, but when you're moving abroad or relocating, you feel like you need to know where you're going into, understanding the culture, understanding different habits, different surroundings, and do your own research. Partly if you have a health condition and you are a bit uncertain of what you're going to face and meet when you're abroad, it's important to do your research up front. And partly if you're having a chronic condition and having to take medicines, there is a lot of good websites that can help you find out if you can find the same medicine abroad, if you making sure that you will be well looked after. And as an expat, usually you want peace of mind, and there is already so much on your mind when you're moving abroad that if you can do your research up front and be as much prepared as you can, that's probably going to make your experience smoother when you moved in.
I know it's something I really didn't think about. I'm asthmatic myself. And when I moved from Australia to the UK, I just thought, oh, yeah, everything will work the same and I'll have the same access to my medicines and the same rules will apply, which were pretty relaxed in Australia. When you need your medication, you can get it. But then I encountered something called an asthma card that I had to like apply for and carry around with me everywhere, and a few other little oddities when it came to how I could get my usual medication and what sort of treatment I could expect.
Yeah, in some countries there is different regulation legislations. Some drugs may not be approved in a specific country. Some you may need to find an alternative. The UAE, for example, there's a lot of different stricter regulation in Asia, Hong Kong and Singapore that are some of our key markets for expats. They usually have more specific requirements there. So yes, if you do your own research, we have some surveys where you can do a pre-medical assessment, and we can help you find out if you are able to follow the same treatment or talk to a nurse or doctors just to make sure that it's as smooth as you can when you move in. So that's my first advice.
Second on your list, Michael, is to be resilient and expect the unexpected. And I think the perfect example of that in the last couple of years has obviously been the global pandemic that we are continuing to live through. That's something that I think came out of left of field even for health service providers.
Yeah, no, totally. And I feel like as an expat, you need to be very adaptable and, as I said, expect the unexpected. Unfortunately, the situation that we're in for the last 2 years really test our resilience. And some people were more ready and prepared for it, and some others really face a tough challenge. Partly if you're living abroad, quite far from your family, but have usually planning to go and see them every year, every 2 years, and then you were really cut from them and didn't have many options except Zoom and video conversations that you were having to really connect. So yeah, I think what it also shows us is that you should not be afraid of ask for help and making sure that you are open if you're not feeling too well, and then there will be someone else on at the end of the line that can pick up the phone and helping you if you're feeling a bit down. Um, yes, I think that's really one thing that it's been quite apparent. It really tests us and it really tests our resilience. And I feel like we shown that we are quite resilient, but at the same time, it also shows that we have some weakness. And I think mental health has been partly tested over the last 18, 24 months and probably still in the coming months. So yeah, mental health is such a big topic now.
Absolutely. And I think if anything good has come out of the last couple of years, it is the greater emphasis on your mental health, mental resilience, and the importance to do things to really actively take care of that.
Yeah, and I felt like was my third point is really that you need to look after yourself. And sometimes, probably if you have a family, you have a tendency of maybe focusing more on your children or on your partner. But it's also, yeah, making sure you look after yourself, you get a healthy diet, you get some fresh air. One thing that is usually overlooked is having a proper sleep. I think we've done a survey recently, and 70% of the people that we're serving were saying that they're having trouble sleeping. And sometimes you can just make easy adjustment, eating slightly less or a better diet at night or avoiding caffeine. Um, but yes, I think sleep has also been shown as very closely linked to mental health. It's kind of a vicious circle. If you're not sleeping well, then you're feeling very low and lack of energy, and then you start not sleeping well again. So sleep, I feel, is so much important, and that we need to have proper program in place to make sure that you have the right mindset, the right mindfulness when you go to bed, and that you have a good night so that it doesn't impact your mental health on the next day. So yes, looking after yourself is key, and doing your health check and making sure that yeah you get enough exercise and fresh air. I think that anywhere where you are, it's not just applicable to expat, but I guess when you are a bit more isolated, and I think that my first point is also making sure you have good connection and not just virtually, as we now live more in a virtual world, but making sure that when you relocate on or establish yourself somewhere, you can rely on people. You know your neighbors, you know your surrounding. You may join a club, a social activities, so that will really help you settle in and make you feel part of, as I was saying, when I'm in the UK, part of the landscape, really feel at home where you've been relocating.
What did you do? I know you've been in the UK for a long time, but when you first moved from Belgium to the UK, do you recall what you did to help you build those social interactions in your new country?
Yeah, I guess Glasgow, particularly, and Scotland in general, a very football mad country. So I was kind of joining, and through my
You had no
partner.
choice. You had no
Yeah,
choice. You had to join the local football club.
yeah. Then and through my wife's friend, I started playing a few five-a-side games and seven-a-side, and also keeping me in shape. And then I joined a tennis club, and even eventually I tried to play golf to really feel part of the Scotland heritage. That wasn't too successful, but yeah, I guess sports is usually a good way of connecting and having something in common. Getting integrated with your neighbors, I also feel like here we felt like we have a good sense of community, and usually for expats, they always relate to how community is important, be able to do things together, maybe between the different expats or with locals. I think that makes such a difference.
It's funny that you pointed out how important sleep is to good health because I'm working with a trainer at the moment. I've had a few issues with too many croissants since I moved to France. And one of the strict rules he has enforced for me, he's like, before we even go on a, heavy exercise regime, we're going to address the fact that you go to bed too late every night. And he's like, nothing else we do will be effective unless you start getting more sleep. And I never really realized how integral it was to everything else you're doing to try to improve your health and well-being.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's very overlooked, as I said, and it's surprising because it's kind of the foundation for having you a good health and well-being. But being disciplined sometimes we want to
It's
ignore it.
hard. It's hard to
Yeah,
be disciplined, I have to say.
maybe so much temptation of things to stay up. But
Yeah.
yeah, another thing that came apparent from the survey that we're doing on a yearly basis, and we survey over 18,000 of our customers, and most of them, 90% of them, were saying that they were stressed. And I think that is kind of something that they've changed, that now they are much more open to say that they are stressed. Before it was probably much more of a stigma, but now I think people are accepting to say, yeah, I'm not 100% today, or I'm feeling overloaded, I'm feeling overwhelmed. And and 20% of this stress was seen as unmanageable. So at some point, people can feel like, yes, I have enough. I cannot cope anymore. And that is something where then people need to be conscious of this and potentially look for help when it's becoming unmanageable, because stress and being a bit anxious is probably part of daily life. But at some point, and our customers were really saying quite regularly, yes, 90% of them are saying, yes, I've experienced stress. And I don't think it's just linked to COVID. I think there is a lot of different factors that is now playing on their mind, um, like financial situation. That is one big one that is now becoming apparent. Our expats are saying, quite feeling uncertain about the future or future of their children, how they're going to be able to finance their education, or how they're going to be able to finance the retirement. Is something that is now more and more people's minds. And then, of course, job security with what happened with the COVID and a lot of industry being impacted. It felt like, yeah, it's not just about their health that they're worried. I felt like there was other elements that is kind of really playing on their mind.
And it really feeds back into their health at the end of the day, doesn't it? If you have money worries, if you have, family concerns, relationship issues, it all comes back in a circle to how you are mentally, physically, and how you're coping with the stress of your life.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, because it's kind of a nice transition to where we want to be at Cigna. We really started our vision and our mission to become a whole health partners. And what we mean by whole health is not just your physical health, but it's also your mental health. But it's not also just about your mind and body. It's also your environment, your family, um, your financial situation, your home care environment. If you need to look after older people, if it's really this whole model of what we call the whole health that is feel maybe a bit of a cliche, but it really now resonate well to our customers, to our clients, because they understand that it's not just having a sore knee or a bad back. It's really what is on your mind, what is really affecting your daily basis, and not just work, but outside of work. So yeah, we really want to start this discussion about whole health and really position ourselves as championing the mental health and the whole health discussion in terms of yes, you need financial aspect is so important as well. If you're not feeling secure enough, then for sure it can unravel and have a different impact on your health.
I think it's fair to say that well-being is really not seen as a luxury anymore, and more of us are really thinking about investing in our health and well-being. And it's really encouraging to see health service providers like Cigna thinking the same way.
Yeah, no, every preventative service is welcome, and it's not just be seen as a nice to have, but is a must have. I think we've seen that with the vaccine program. I think that was a good example of people realizing that prevention works. And then if you get your jab and if you get your regular boosters, then you feel much better protected. And I feel like simple things like doing your health check, and I know doing my health check every year that's provided by Cigna, just to check not just on a weight, but doing some cardio, doing physiological assessment, health assessment, and also doing your cancer screening when you come into age that could be at potential risk. This is now, I feel like, something that should be much more encouraged, and it's kind of the expectation is that you should do your checks a bit like you're doing an eye test. You should be doing a health check. You should be doing a cancer screening when it's come to, so that you feel safe and secure, and that you've done your bit to make sure that nothing will come down the line. So yes, I presume that is one main thing, is that this service that before was just kind of seen as add-on, now really a part of your main health cover, and that is really something that, as a health insurer, we really want to encourage our customers to do all the preventative screening and tests and checks that is available wherever they are, instead of waiting when it's too late.
And I was going to ask actually where Cigna fits in for expats when they are considering their health and well-being extra needs in a foreign country. You know, most foreign countries have some kind of localized health plan, and where does Cigna come in for them?
I guess we have all type of customers. It really depends on where they're based, what is their need, what is their expectation. But in most instances, expats unfortunately don't have access to the social security system unless they've stayed for quite some time in the countries.
It's true.
On their situation and their professional situation. So that's where usually we come in. We come as a replacement of the social security system, because they unfortunately cannot have access to it. And then what we also provide is easier access, is better quality of care, is being supported by our clinical team, by our nurse team. If you're coming with a chronic condition, we have chronic condition programs that really help you manage your diabetes, your hypertension, your high level of cholesterol. So we have a range of services that may not be easily accessible through the public system, because at the moment they've been quite overloaded. I think one of the things that we really notice and that we really want to encourage is more the virtual access of care. I suppose we've seen over the last 2 years how challenging it's been for the public services and health services in all the different countries to manage the pandemic. So we've seen an important surge of people looking for help virtually. So service like telehealth, where you can talk to a GP or a specialist over the phone in a much more convenient ways, are available 24/7. You don't have to go to the doctor office. You can schedule it when it suits you. That is something that is becoming now easily accessible, but may not be through your standard health provider, where as Cigna and as most of our provider, we now have a network of digital healthcare and providers that at a click of a button through an app, you can talk to a GP and get the reinsurance that you need, particularly at a time when there was a lot of uncertainties around COVID and how you can get the support that you need. Virtual services, or even for mental health, as we're discussing, doing virtual therapies or doing online self-help trainings or program like CBTs are becoming now very, very popular. You don't need to go and see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You can do your own self-assessment initially, try to get the help that have been developed by professionals. And then if you feel the need, you can go and talk to a specialist. But there's much more virtual help available, so many good online programs. So I think that is also one thing that as a health insurer, we can help getting you through the convenience service in a much more easier way. I think another thing that people were saying when they use the virtual service is that they can get a quicker diagnosis, so that you don't have to wait for a month to talk to someone and another month or two to get the result of a test or your diagnosis. You can get that within a few days, and I think that's for most of our customers that's a key differentiation. And the last thing is that sometimes they feel like they can talk more openly about the issue when they maybe talk to someone else, maybe someone that they are less familiar. They can feel a bit more open, particularly if it's about sensitive topics like the mental health situation. So that's another thing that virtual health seems to bring a lot of benefits to our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, virtual health is something that I really hope doesn't disappear at the end of this pandemic, because I have found it to be revolutionary, as you said, in just being able to get an appointment, to make it fit in with everything else you have to do in your life. It has been so convenient. And when you are living in a location where you might need to travel an hour each way for a
Yeah.
10-minute appointment, it just makes so much more sense, and gives you so much more time back in your day as well.
Yeah, and the quality that you get is exactly the same, if not better. And the fact is that you may have someone that is fully dedicated to this virtual consultation, that is there in a moment and spend enough time to make sure that they are listening to you, and that you spend the right amount of time discussing what is on your mind or a special concern. So I think that's something that, yes, we're not planning to make that disappear. Quite the opposite. We really want to push it and promote it even more, and making sure that our customers are aware of it. And it's not because we're coming out of lockdown, and for sure that is very enjoyable, but we are going to lose some of the benefit that was brought in during the pandemic and during the lockdown.
Well, 4 ways to take care of your health and well-being while living abroad, as we've just discussed. Number one, be prepared. Number two, be resilient. Three, look after yourself and your family. And number four, build those social interactions. Michael, it's been a pleasure to chat with you on the podcast today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Good to be here. Thanks again.
That's it for today. To learn more about Cigna's health solutions, you can go to their website, cignaglobal.com. You'll also find loads of information and free resources on our website, expatfocus.com, to help you move abroad easily.